Okay, we're back with episode 23, part 2. Zach was so enthusiastic that he accidentally ended the episode when he left the room.
He said, if I can't be on the show, no one can be on the show.
Yes. Classic. Anyway, so we're down to Michael and me because in the interim, when the lights were off, Jerian mysteriously vanished. Just like a horror movie. What are you going to do? Yeah. Anyway, we're back with the second half-ish of this episode.
Second half sounds good.
Yeah, after that message from our sponsors, Oops Caught Me Smoking. Anyway. Yeah, we're still talking about the raid in America known as the Raid Redemption. I don't know that anybody really gets redeemed in this movie, though. Maybe the main character's brother? You know, his estranged brother who like ultimately like helps him out and then goes back at the end. Maybe that could be the redemption they're talking about. I'm not entirely sure.
I assumed that was the redemption that they were talking about.
Yeah. Oh well. And I believe we were talking, or go for it.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I mean, if they had to add something to it, the redemption is, I think the brother character is the only thing that would make any sense there.
Yeah, unless it's like a broader redemption of the police force, because at the end they get the hard drive with all the stuff on it. I don't know.
All the crooked cops.
Yes, every single one of them. Very convenient, actually, that.
Yeah.
But again, I mean...
yeah, and on this type of movie, like, I can forgive dumb shit like that. And this is one of those movies. One of my complaints about the Boondock Saints was that it didn't have the action, and when it did have the action, it was grounded except for the one thing. This thing is breaking physics all over the place. So when it does that all the time, awesome. When it's just action all the time, who cares what the MacGuffin is? Like, who cares what... I'm here to see people fighting. And that's exactly what they give me in this movie. And it rules.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, like we were saying, it's really just like an exercise in pacing. In particular, just something of this, I don't know, not even scale, because I mean, it is kind of, I mean, when I say scale, I mean like it's held to effectively one location.
Yep.
You very rarely introduce new people. It's more like characters getting whittled down as the movie goes on, and most of them are eliminated in the first 20 minutes.
Oh man,
pretty brutally. The
amount of people that are eliminated in that first fight scene is,
yeah, they get rocked pretty early on. And it felt like they had prepared for this. Like it wasn't like, these cops aren't very good. It was, they walked into this without knowing what they were walking into. And then you find out, of course, they were set up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one of the first things they do, Real Boys classic movie thing, they kill a kid. They shoot that kid right through his neck.
Through a closed door, too. That's pretty impressive.
It's a pretty impressive kill. Because the kid's just like, cops! Right through his neck. And it's awesome.
It's an effective start to the movie for sure. I mean, the first scene, I believe, like the first thing you see is that squad car full of soldiers, and they are armored up.
Yep.
They've got assault rifles. They've got their like raiding. They
got their raid gear.
Raid gear, yeah. They're fully equipped. They're rolling in. They're giving a little kind of what is it? Not dossier. I don't know what to call it. Psyching them up.
Yeah, because they know they know who they're dealing with. Because they're like, oh, this guy. We're not the first ones who have gone into this situation. And then the captain, who's like, of course, the one who sells him down the river, is like, not this time. We really got him this time. But they don't got him.
No, they don't.
They don't got him.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do otherwise? You're walking into, I mean, they don't know it, but they're walking into a setup, and it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really works. And that first scene is the scene where they're like down below, and then 10 guys pop up about 2 stories above them and just start laying waste to them, and they are not afraid to be close up on where these guys are getting shot.
Yeah. There are a few times where the amount of gunpowder or just gunfire on screen is, I think you mentioned it on part 23A, where uh it gets so smoky, but doesn't feel in a way that's cheap to hide bad CGI like it does sometimes.
No.
It feels like this place is getting kind of wrecked
Yeah.
for good reason, because it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is too much CGI blood, but it's really not too bad. It's not like offensive where you can like see their blood like stains on their shirt. It's not like you can see them moving when they fall, but it is noticeably CGI blood. But there are also practical effects, like when he is digging the bullet out of that guy with the butter knife. Woof.
Man, the brutality on screen sometimes, like you have all of this intense shooting and a lot of martial arts, and then sometimes it's it's kind of the smaller stuff that makes you wince.
Mm-hmm.
That scene, immediately before it, when the machete goes through the wall and it just gets his cheek.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, he's gonna notice the blood on that.
Yep.
And
and then he brings his hand up so that it wipes the blood off. That was, that like, because we have a lot of action. We don't have a lot of like exposition. We don't have a lot of long scenes where people are just talking to each other. And when there are scenes where people are talking to each other, something is happening. And then the only slow parts of the movie are those tense parts. Like when they're hiding, and like when those machete guys are like scraping their machetes against the wall and there's 3 cops hiding like sort of around the corner. And you can see it again. It's the acting. You can see it on their faces that they're like, if these guys find us, we're fucked. And and then they don't. And that scene in the wall where he's putting the machete through the wall, but none of it lasts longer than it needs to. So it never feels long and drawn out. Weirdly enough, the one thing that feels long and drawn out is that last fight where the brothers are fighting like sort of the heavy of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
At first I'm like, this rules. And then it keeps going. And I'm like, wow, this is really showing off that this guy is, top tier. He's like maybe the best heavy I've ever seen in a movie. But then it just goes on for it. There's a point where it goes on for too long, and it's like, all right, I get it.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's one of the most effective second hand, like right hand man's characters that I've seen in a long time. And partially because when you first see him, you're like, this dude, he's a little smaller. He looks a little ragged.
Yeah, then, he's definitely ragged, and I think that's why he works as a character.
Yes.
And that first cop that he fights is, I think, pretty much perfect length of a fight, because that's still a very long fight. When he fights that,
when he puts the gun down and he's like, I prefer to do this.
Yep.
Yeah, when he fights Joe Taslim. Yeah.
Yes. When that happens, it's like that's the perfect amount of fight. If that second fight with the brothers was just a little bit longer than that, and he was still fighting 2 people, then you got yourself. And again, it's just such a small complaint, because the rest of this movie rules. And maybe if they would have had a couple cutaways to what the chief guy was doing with the main guy, it wouldn't have felt so long. It just felt too long. And if a fight scene lasting too long is my biggest gripe about a movie, Like, that's a pretty good movie.
Especially when it's the climactic fight with the guy who's shown to be the most capable fighter.
Yeah.
And I will say there are a few cheats. Like, it does that thing where it's like, if someone's off screen, they don't exist. Like,
Mhm.
someone gets punched off screen and then the two of them fight for a little bit, punched off screen, other guy comes in, which, I mean, you can pick apart choreography really easy. But I kind of agree that last fight lasts really long, especially after he gets, I guess, not really spoilers, he gets stabbed in the neck with the fluorescent light tube,
Mhm.
and then he gets up and he's acting like he's not. I would have liked a little more gore of like blood coming out of the tube. I thought that would have been a neat little like gore shot.
Yeah, there was
Um,
some good spurts during that, but
yeah, but it's like you got that end where he just
yeah,
yeah,
it's so brutal.
it's an effective movie for
Yeah,
sure.
it's really, I mean, I don't know what else to say, man. I mean, I have one complaint about this movie, and I never have one complaint about a movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also like a non-fight finish to like the big bad. I like it when, because his number two, his heavy, is like doing all the stuff. So he doesn't have to do any of that stuff. So then you have the old chief guy and the guy who's, just sitting around collecting the money are like sort of your last two people left. Yeah, I would rather a non-fight ending to that. I really like the ending of him just taking him out and then going to take out the chief guy, like takes the main bad guy out and then tries to take himself out, but he doesn't he doesn't
Doesn't work.
get it easily. He doesn't get
Yeah.
off that easy. And
Nah.
but yeah,
But
I was
I'm with you. I'm with you on the chief bad guy. The fear comes from his power and his charisma. He's got muscle to back that up in the form of his right hand man.
mhm,
So it's a formula where I've heard it referred to as the dragon. The dragon is the main bad guy's like enforcer. It's the guardian to the central chamber. You
mhm,
defeat that, the ruler's actually not that hard to beat
yep.
because you take away their power, they don't have anything.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm
that's
on
a
board
big
with that
video
for
game
sure.
thing too.
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, Mad Dog, the right hand man, Evans had cast him in his previous film and said that this time he wanted him to play a purely evil character. I think he pulled it off.
I think that's a purely evil character. I did also like the that second heavy, the machete guy, the one with the
Mm-hmm.
crazy eyes, and then he
Yeah.
has like sort of his crew with him.
Mm-hmm.
I like I really like that dynamic of the sitting pretty main guy with his heavy, the absolutely insanely powerful hand-to-hand combat guy, and then like the next tier down is that guy was pretty easily dispatched, but he had his crew around him, and like those are the guys who were always together.
Yeah.
And then underneath that it's sort of like whoever, and that's like, I think that's a great power structure for a movie like this, because then you get first the first couple levels going up go easy. It
Mm-hmm.
shows that in the movie too, because we're looking at the floors as they pass, and we're not seeing any of it because it doesn't matter. It's so like it's trivial for them. And then once they start hitting stuff that is an actual threat, then we get that done, and then we hit the segment where we're up against the 5 C tier fighters, and then they
Mm-hmm.
take a couple more out, and then that last guy takes the majority of them out
Yeah,
once they're straggling.
for sure. I think that's just again just a testament to the pacing, where you have you have your initial roadblock, which removes a lot of the accessory characters. They build up to the fight with the machete guys. Machete guys seem pretty good, and then they get dispatched relatively easy. And then the only real roadblock are the goons and the remaining heavy, who takes out as many characters as he needs to make the film tense, and leaves the young guys to eventually bring him down.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, we got through this. We got through the plot. We got through the kills. We got through the propane tank in the refrigerator.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, it's so good.
It's great. We got through the door frame kill.
The door frame kill. There's a shot when the machete guys come in to the floor that they were just on, and everybody's on. It's when the our main character and the guy who's got shot in the gut and the neck get taken into the tenant's apartment. But there's a scene where the door just closes and then the machete guys open up the door to that floor, and there's just twitching bodies just laying all over the floor. And it's like, their reaction to it is just as effective because they open that door and they're just like stepping over those guys. They couldn't give a shit less that there's 40 dead and almost dead bodies laying there. They have one thing that they need to do, and they're going to get it done. And yeah, it's just, it's a pretty perfect action movie.
It is distilled.
Yeah. And as I was watching this movie, I'm like, man, what I need now is a buddy cop movie with this guy and Tony Jaa.
Sure.
And Tony Jaa is like the cop who doesn't want to kill anybody. He's like the by the books guy. And then this guy from the raid is like the guy who's like, I'm going to do anything that I can to get this done. He's like the violent one, and they have to work together. It doesn't need to be that can be all it is. But but to see those two fighting next to each other would be incredible.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I go for it.
This guy is like the Indonesian Tony Jaa, like the Bruce Lee or the Jackie Chan. He's top tier action star, and I almost feel bad, even though I didn't dislike The Night Comes for Us, but after watching this again, I'm like, man, anything with that guy in it is going to be. And I did love the fight scenes in that. It was just over padded. I think I said it in the episode, if that would have been an hour 40, that also would have gotten way higher of a rating from me. I think it was just, I don't want the story. I don't need it. And this movie proves that you don't really need it in these movies either.
So we've got Gareth Evans' next movie is called Havoc. It's released in 2022. Stars Tom Hardy and Forrest Whitaker and Timothy Olyphant. The plot: after a drug deal goes awry, a detective must fight his way through a criminal underworld to rescue a politician's estranged son while untangling his city's dark web of conspiracy and corruption.
Cool.
So, yeah. Another movie that Gareth Evans did that I really, really like was Apostle on Netflix. Creepy early 1900s period horror movie. It's got Dan Stevens and Paul Higgins and Michael Sheen in it.
Okay.
Yeah. Creepy. A guy goes to a religious island to rescue his sister from a cult that seems to have kidnapped her. It's very good.
That sounds amazing. And all you have to say, you said Michael Sheen, and once you said that, you didn't have to say creepy after that, because that's
that is what he does a lot of.
That is what he does, and he's very good at it.
Yeah. You got anything else to say about this movie?
No, man.
Yeah. Go
But
watch The Raid.
yeah, go watch The Raid. Holy shit. This movie, I
Put it on for a
was,
room of people, and there's going to be a lot of moments.
yeah, I was, like I said, I've watched this movie just a shit ton of times. And I was like, for some reason, I'm like, I can't remember anything that happens in this movie. I'm like, all I remember is that they're fighting their way up a building to, stop a drug dealer. And the one guy's brother is one of the bad guys and he helps him out. And I'm like, I can't believe I can't remember anything else about this movie. And then I'm like, oh, I did remember everything about this movie because that's the whole movie. It's just full of kick-ass fight scenes. And like a Tony Jaa movie has just the martial arts. Very little gunplay in those. Jackie Chan is sort of the same way. And I'm just sort of lumping action stars together. It's like you don't usually get, in a Van Damme movie, there's usually not very much gunplay like a Seagal movie. But the mixture in this movie is like so good because like martial arts, hand-to-hand combat, weapons, just use of and that fight scene in the room where they make the drugs is like one of the coolest fight scenes. And for some reason I noticed there's one guy, he's wearing like a purple shirt. He's one of the bad guys. He has not like a super long, but you can see again in his face him concentrating on what he's doing and like really intense about what he's doing. And I'm like, I don't know if that's because he's in this movie with this big action star or if it's his character like really trying to, but either way, that guy deserves to be in more movies too.
Yeah,
because
right on.
Yeah, he was insanely good, and I appreciate a side character that's really taking what he's doing seriously.
Yeah. No, I think
so.
I agree
Shout out to purple shirt guy.
I'm sure he's watching, and I'm sure he's very happy to get a shout out.
Well, you're welcome on the show anytime, purple shirt guy.
Just reach out to us.
You may have been my favorite character in this movie because the characters really don't matter that much. But everybody was everybody's charismatic enough, and they have enough. Yeah, they have enough to do that you do care about them. But maybe it's because I've seen this movie so many times that I was looking outside of where I'm normally looking. But purple shirt guy really got me this time.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to? I think before we do reels, because I think we're kind of on the reels.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through, give a shout out to everybody who couldn't make it on the show tonight. Of course, we've got Chris Harvey, touring comedian, working comedian. You can find him on the Chris Plus Chris show. We've got DL Smokes from Oops Caught Me Smoking. He and Jarian, who were on earlier, Jarian, of course, from the Cloud Chronicles podcast. The two of them do Bet That with Dan and Jarian. It's a sports podcast. It's pretty good for. I keep saying this, but it's true that even without much sports knowledge, it's still fun to listen to him banter.
Yeah.
We've got Justin Wallace and his new show, Anime Shenanigans. You can go listen to a bunch of weeaboos talk about anime, which is great. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
You got, of course, Zach Wiseman stopped in. He's my counterpart in Some Nobodies. Find him everywhere on Some Nobodies, No Time to Binge, stuff like that.
Did Zach give us a real rating?
No, he ended the show prematurely, so I had to remake the link.
Great job, Zach.
We've got Phil Better on, of course, I've made another show, and of course I made this one too, and pretty soon I'll make that one. And of course the Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur podcast. You can find him at podcaster Phil Better on I think he's on Instagram, so you can go find him. He knows what he's talking about.
Just be careful because his Instagram is not safe for work. He takes a lot of like back shots wearing thongs, And
It's a lot of behind the scenes stills of him podcasting, and like most of us, he doesn't wear pants, but
yeah,
unlike most of us, he posts pictures.
yeah,
So
he posts way too many pictures. He also has the new show, Look What I Found in the Snow, where he just
yeah.
goes outside of his Canadian house and he just reaches into the snow. And I don't know what Canadians are doing, but he always finds like all sorts of stuff, and it's not garbage. It's always like jewelry or like artifacts.
Well,
And it's
he
like,
posted a behind the scenes photo, and he actually removed it because it showed that he plants all that stuff. And I hope he doesn't mind that I just did the review on this show. But
well, if he posted it, did he post it on his third Instagram, the one that?
I think he meant to, and he accidentally posted it to his main one. That's why I
Oh,
deleted it.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
we won't give the
sorry,
hashtag.
Phil.
We won't give the tag for that one. You'll have to go
No.
find it.
You don't want to find that one.
Anyway.
That's the premium Instagram.
Of course. So Michael, you want to do reels and talk yourself out?
Yeah. Well, I don't know what Zach's reels were, but Jarian did give this an 8.5. He wanted to let us know before he left, but this is late for him, and he has a kid, and he's
obligations.
like, I don't have time for you fools. And I was like, I understand. But he did say 8.5. For myself, I'm giving this thing a 9. I love this movie. I can't say enough about it. If they would have used some squibs and cut that last fight scene down, it may have been a 10. But I mean, a 9 is, whatever.
Still pretty good.
So yeah, Jack Billings Presents Haunted Apartment Complex. The episodes that I'm writing are coming out, and I couldn't be more excited. The stuff that comes out of my brain sometimes surprises even me. I also have Generation Clash, where if you think I'm negative on this show, Generation Clash is the one where I talk to my kid about music, and it's probably the most positive you'll ever see me. I love this terrible game. And then starting back up tomorrow is No Time to Binge. And that is the show that I tell the second most amount of people to watch, because that thing is also insane. So we are going to be talking about the show Into the Badlands, and we are going to watch the first episode and the last episode, and then try to figure out what happens in the middle. And that is the weirdest, most fun improv comedy situations that, I can think of. And again, I don't prepare any of the stuff for that show. So when it comes out of my mouth, I'm like, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I talked about how long, I can't believe I talked for 5 minutes about how a giraffe centaur was ejaculating all over a magical wood. But there it is. I said that exact thing on the Centaur World show.
It is the show that I have laughed the hardest while doing it. That moment lives on in my brain, pretty in the forefront. And of course, I am Dylan. You can find me at all the Some Nobody stuff alongside Zach. Some of the other stuff with Michael, and of course here on the Real Boys. You should listen to Silicon Angels and the podcast show, and Twitching Upstream every Tuesday, sometimes at 3:30 Mountain Time, sometimes at 4 o'clock Mountain Time, sometimes anytime we start after we figure out our audio issues.
And I was on Twitching Up. I was on Twitching Upstream.
Michael on it.
Yeah,
a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it was fun. A spade too far. We went a spade too far with that one.
Sure did. And I'm giving this movie an 8 out of 10. Because I really, really enjoyed it. And that's my rubric for an 8. It is. I really, really enjoyed this, and I recommend this to everybody. Like, I
was hoping you were going to give it an 8, because man, I can even do that math.
Yeah, right.
But an 8.5 and a 9 give it an 8.5.
You're damn right it does. 8.5 average out of the 3 of us, which is one of the higher ratings we generally give out. Usually our stuff doesn't collectively get to an 8, but The Raid managed to. And of course, that's this week's Real Boys. Next week, on Monday the 18th, or the next episode, if you're just listening sequentially, is Jerian's number 2 pick. Oh, sorry, I didn't know my cat was in here. Jerian's number 2 pick, The Last Dragon. That's gonna be great. It's not gonna be as extreme as this, but it's still gonna be a great time.
Yeah, that movie is a great time.
Yeah. And then 2 weeks hence, on Friday the 29th, we are watching The Protector, because I think we're gonna do a trilogy of like action movies, this sort of thing. So we got
Did
a lot
I
of fun
suggest
stuff.
The Protector, or was that
Yeah,
Phil?
you did. No,
Okay.
I think you did. Phil might have. It definitely wasn't The Real Wheel. We'll
No.
get back to The Real Wheel in November, I think.
Screw The Real Wheel. Let's just watch awesome action movies on Friday.
We'll figure it out. It depends. I think it depends. Sometimes having a stinker in here is good for
having a stinker is good, but I also
palate cleanser.
Yeah, we need our palates cleansed after the past couple of movies. But I think
true.
between this and Last Dragon, and then The Protector, I think our palates
live. We're starting to get into some fun stuff.
Hell yeah, they live. All right. Well then, actually, let's, for the next one after The Protector, for the next Friday show, let's just pick a stinker.
All right. Cool. That works for me. We'll figure that out.
We'll figure out a stinker.
Cool. Again, I'm Dylan. That's Michael. You heard Jerian and Zach earlier. To all of the other real boys who couldn't make it, of course, we miss you, but we'll see you again soon. And everybody out there, you've been great. Mostly. We'll see how this episode is received. And I'm going to wrap it up there. Be well out there. Take it easy. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Drop these. Everybody drop these. Everybody drop these. Everybody drop these. Everybody.
He wants to go off-road!
You gonna shoot that shot when you get the land?
Yo, he was right on my ass, man.
You were wide open.
Who wrote this?
I did.
Ask him if he got the letter.
Did you get the letter?
What letter? What's up, man? About to catch a fade, huh?
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya.